Hey, fellow theme park fans, we are going to be talking about some stories out at Disney, things that are going to be expanding past Disney. As a matter of fact, I just brought one up. I've got a lot of stories here to share, and the one that, let me see if I can't pull it up here, the one that we first started talking about, and I know this isn't the thumbnail. We're going to get to that. We're going to get to the fact that I told you so. I told you so. Back in when we're doing comics, and I would say I hate it when I'm right. I told you so. But first, gonna share this little tidbit here about what. Let me see if I can't get to it. We're gonna share something that's going on in Florida. I don't know if you guys have heard about this, but there was a measles outbreak, or at least they're saying there was a measles outbreak down South Florida. And I'm gonna state it straight up like that. They say there's a measles outbreak, because what it sounds to me like is here comes COVID part 2. You know, they need the whole thing where everybody's shut down. And
yeah, I don't even understand the logistics of this one, if this is the one they're going with, because everyone and their dog gets a measles vaccine at the age of between the ages of 3 and 5. So well, how is it going to be a justifiable reason to lock us down?
Walt Disney World is on alert following the first recorded measles cases in Orlando. Here's what you need to know, and then it goes on and talks about the whole thing. And look, Disney is a place where a lot of people gather, and I would not. I'm telling you, my tinfoil hat is on this one. It just, the fact that they're starting this and it's an election year. I'm sorry, but my tinfoil hat is on it.
I need to get a silver top hat so that when this happens,
yeah, you just plop that thing on. It just seems so freaking convenient that this is what they're going to scare people with. Because remember, it doesn't actually have to be a huge deal. And look, the numbers were huge as far as how many people died. I'm sorry, but I don't want anybody to die of any disease. But when you take it to the point where you were doing percentages, when you were actually doing statistics, even COVID wasn't all that bad.
No, except if you had pre-existing conditions or were elderly.
But they
or
made
young,
it sound that way by doing things like saying, you know, that guy that died in the motorcycle crash, he had COVID, therefore he died of COVID, and it was serious like that. So I honestly believe that this is just the new fearmonger. Hey, LK, what's up? I invited LK because of the Iger thing. And, you know, him being lawyer and all that kind of stuff, he might have an interesting take. But the story we started off with is the fact that there was a measles outbreak and they're alerting Disney about the whole thing. I would, once again, the tinfoil hat is on. I do not put it past the government that they would drop somebody in the middle of Disney, meaning they would send somebody in with the disease.
As a plant.
So there would be an outbreak. I am that far gone as far as trusting this government.
I'm just in the headspace where it's like, how do they, even assuming the tinfoil perspective for a second, how do they expect to use it to fearmonger?
What I think is funny
the views and opinions of its hosts do not reflect on the rest of the guests.
I was just about to say, LK, you are far more of a black pill than I am. You are probably, I would suggest you are even far more right than I am, and yet you're laughing at my my little conspiracy theory.
Well, I mean, here's the thing I'll say: as we learned things over the last 4 years, what sounded like Looney Tunes nonsense that would be out of some dime store or spy novel.
Mm-hmm.
Could be true.
Literally the plot of The Stand. I read The Stand during COVID, and it was prescient as shit.
More than the last time around, they need to pull all the freaking wires out in order to beat Trump. And so I'm not gonna take it away from them. But anyway, we just lost half of the zero audience we already had. But so there's other stories to get to. So I'm gonna get to my other theory. And here you go, LK. Once again, I invited you on because I know the L part is lawyer, by the way, if you guys wonder. And I thought maybe you would be interested in joining us for this. I hope you don't mind, Dalton. Disney is usually our thing.
No, it's fine. It's whatever, and maybe we can do a bad comic beatdown afterwards. You know,
that sounds good to me. Also, there's a new Power Girl. But here you go. This right here, kids. This right here. Disney CEO Bob Iger sells off more than 80% of his stake in Disney. Now, the reason why I hold on just a sec. I thought I had this. No, I didn't. That's
now I saw that, and I, being kind of optimistic about it, saw it. Could this be a sign of the alleged Muskification of Disney? Please, please, please.
Well,
I would say no to that. Now, I don't know. So, I mean, is this from a credible source?
Well, this is the Disney News. They've got. I trust them for what they're saying, and this is not the only place that's talking about this. This is just one of my favorite.
Well, I mean, well, the thing is him being CEO, he would have to file a statement with the SEC saying, "Hey, I'm selling X, number of shares of Disney." So it's not something that he could do in secret. Or, I mean, if he tried to, it would be a major violation of securities law.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was wondering, wait a second, that doesn't sound exactly legal. But let's see what the story goes on to say. CEO Bob Iger has sold more than 80% of his stake in the Walt Disney Company, leading to many wonder what he knows about Disney's future that the rest of us don't. Yeah, obviously, he has no confidence. And the fact that he's running the freaking show means, and I said this before, I put on my tinfoil hat. I said, Dalton, because it was he and I talking. I said, Dalton, the man is doing this on purpose. I believe somebody was wanting to buy the company, and I'm just putting out numbers there here, but say the company was worth $6 billion. They wanted to sell the company or buy the company, I'm sorry, for $3.5 billion. So they said, if you can get this down to even $4 billion, we'll give you $500 million or $1 billion.
And like I mentioned when we were talking about this the last time, I'm not sold on that idea. What I think is happening is he realized that his initiatives were crapping the company and is now planning on jumping ship. I don't think it was a long-winded Machiavellian scheme all along, because if it is, then every company is doing it, because the main cut and thrust of Iger's bullshit is the ESG nonsense. And
here's the thing, and I know you follow do not attribute to malice what can be said in incompetence, but Bob Iger is not an incompetent businessman.
No. I don't know. The track record does imply that to a degree. So
he's
I see it more as
let
LK jump in.
Sorry. Yeah.
I mean, I'll say that. I mean, he's certainly smart. And he's certainly intelligent. But his whole legacy here at Disney has been built on buying stuff.
He's been an acquisition guy.
That is all he knows how to do, is buy stuff. He has created, I would argue, it's probably been the greatest creative dearth in Disney history with him at the helm, because there is no new original IP.
Yeah, you look at oh my gosh, the guy before him, Eisner.
Mm-hmm.
And we got Disney Paris. There was Hong Kong Disney, the hotels. The Disney expanded like hell. I mean, it just went like fury across.
Not to mention, he was the guy who oversaw the Disney Bloody Renaissance.
That's true. As far as movies were concerned, the parks were expanded. There was a lot. There was a creative boom under Eisner, and he was the guy who, as I was working there, said, "Yeah, we could train monkeys to do their job." So we were all like, "You dude, the monkeys won't give the guest service. Thank you very much." Now I don't even think Bob Iger cares about search. Bob Iger turned Disney into more of a business than it ever had been, and I'm not saying it wasn't a business. I'm just saying the guests.
He's the Jurassic Park lawyer.
Yeah, guests would never actually feel the business side. The whole point was, is you go to Disney and you feel like you're in another world. You're supposed to feel like you've been transported somewhere. You don't get that with Disney these days. It just is not. It's not in the cards. No, okay. I'll keep talking.
But yeah, where we disagree, I think, is I see this as him doing what he was going to do anyway, and it blowing up in his face, and him realizing, shit, I've got to cover my ass. I don't think it was this long-winded Machiavellian scheme. I think.
Well, I don't think it was. I don't think it was long either. What happened was he put forth a whole bunch of ideas. Now I jumped on the Chapek thing myself, but Chapek was following a lot of things that Bob Iger had been doing initially, and I think what ended up happening is that Bob Iger came back but in that, what was it, 2-year period, somebody got to him. It wasn't a long-winded thought process. It's just Disney was already falling. It's just, okay, let me light a fire under it and let's destroy it.
I still don't think. I think what you have here is what always happens with large corporations and people in charge of large corporations. They get in their bubble, they get out of touch, they get caught up in theories and models and paradigms instead of on the ground realities. And then when those theories and models and paradigms bear no bearing on reality, they blow up in their face. And then what happens? Golden parachute. What happens?
So
we have to cover our ass.
So the story goes on. The Walt Disney Company operates a global entertainment enterprise consisting of theme parks and resorts, hotels, television, film, video, streaming, content, music distribution services, the manufacturing, licensing, marketing, and distribution of content on DVD and Blu-ray, electronic home video, licensing, video on demand, rentals, okay, all the stuff that they're into. Disney's content is distributed under various names, and it gives off all the names. Get to the story here. Disney has 2 theme parks. Yes, we know that. Okay, we know what Disney is. It's no secret that the Walt Disney Company has been experiencing a season of financial change, especially since 2022, when Disney's board made the decision to remove CEO Bob Chapek and reinstate veteran CEO Bob Iger at the helm. In February, Iger conducted the company's first quarterly earnings. I'll tell you what, and he says they're going to trim expenditures by more than $5.5 billion. Yeah, and do you know the first people to go? The janitorial staff, because it is dirty as fuck there now. Let's see. The company recently posted nearly $90 billion in revenue and a market cap of almost 197, despite huge dips in the company's stock prices. Shares recently hit 52 a week of almost 113 apiece. But CEO Bob Iger recent move has many shareholders and fans wondering what's going on.
So one thing people need to kind of keep in mind. So, because I know a lot of people, were saying, that the rebound of the stock because they, beat the estimate, whatever. And yes, so it's true. Yes, in their annual report, they did beat what the market analyst expected the earnings per share to be. And that's always, when you beat market expectations, that's going to, push a stock up. But the thing is, it hasn't recovered anywhere near close to where it was 12 months ago or 18 months ago or 24 months ago. And when you dive into that annual report, basically a lot of the gains from that was basically on the sports side. On the ESPN performance, because the streaming Disney Plus is still an absolute disaster. And the numbers were down in the parks, and certainly the revenue from the movie division is a massive black hole as well.
The last successful movie released by Disney, I think, was Guardians 3.
Yeah, that one was successful. And before that, of course, you had a partnership with Sony on Spider-Man. And before that, you can say Black Panther 2 was successful.
Yeah. Oh, no. Bob Iger, and he said this in the annual report, Avatar was the most successful Disney movie.
Oh, that's right, because it's 20th Century Fox. Yeah.
Right. But, I mean, you talk about a ton of caveats in terms of they had absolutely zero to do with that movie. And Cameron probably got the lion's share of the profit off of that movie, not Disney.
Yeah, because James Cameron is an independent filmmaker.
And the same is true of No Way Home. The lion's share of that cash outflow went to Sony rather than Disney.
A lot of people don't understand the George Lucas. When he sold Star Wars, he was an independent filmmaker, and he kept a lot of the rights. They had distribution rights, but George Lucas owned Star Wars. So it's very much the same thing.
So I'm
owns Avatar.
Yeah, so I'm kind of reading through some stuff. I haven't, and I'm seeing where there are some other kind of Wall Street places that were reporting this. So this whole drop is basically over the last year plus. Now, I did find something where back in 2021, he sold off 500,000 shares. So at that time, he basically sold off half of what he had.
So basically, when he knew that Bob Chapek was going to take over, he sold.
Well, I mean when Chapek was going to get fired and he was going to take over, because this was 2021.
So I'm telling you, this man's doing it on purpose.
I don't think so. I think this is the result.
I absolutely am convinced, and there's going to be a point, Dalton, where I will say, "I told you so."
Yeah, and when that point comes, I will take my lumps. But until that day, I'm chalking this up to this is what happens. No matter how brilliant you are, if you're sheltered from consequences, if you're fed a bunch of theoretical bullshit, if you're forced into the normative consensus of how industries are run with stuff like ESG and DEI, it doesn't matter how brilliant you are, because intelligence is a function of what your brain can do with data. If you don't let yourself see the data for ideological reasons, or your underlings don't let you see the data because of sheltering and bubble reasons, there's only so much your brilliance can do. And when the chickens finally come home to roost and blow up in your face, a sensible person goes, okay, well, I can't unbury myself now, so I have to cover my ass. Hence golden parachute. Hence,
Yeah. You were about to say something, then we'll move on with the article here.
Well, I mean, obviously he's doing it with some purpose in mind, but I would not take it as any kind of signal that he's going anywhere anytime soon.
Oh, maybe not, but I'm telling you,
he has put up the guard walls, and he is fighting the proxy fight against Nelson Peltz and Tryon, tooth and nail. He has brought in basically activist investors. In this case, what activist means doesn't necessarily mean like a political activist per se. It just means engaged investors.
I think he's here until 2025. I think that's the contract. But I know he's not going anywhere. I just think that while he's here, he's going to do. I just don't have any confidence in him. I think he's actually. But we've already talked about this, so you don't have to reply to it there, Dalton. But I do. My take is that this is planned.
Well, and one other little thing with that 2025 contract that a lot of people don't know.
I could be wrong about that, but I do believe that's.
He had his, so when he left originally, that included a basically 10-year, call it emeritus contract or what have you. So, he wasn't in charge, but he still had a 10-year deal with Disney. When he took back over as CEO, that deal as a consultant or whatever you want to call it, is basically put on pause. So even whenever he leaves as CEO,
he's still going to be lingering around for 10 years.
Unless a group like Tryon Investments or Nelson Peltz, somebody else takes over control of Disney and basically buys him out of that deal and just says, okay, here, we're paying you all the money up front, get out.
Yeah,
Elon Musk,
which is what I truly believe we need to have happen. So it goes on to say in early 2023, Iger owned 1.3 million shares, valued at $97 million. Now he's got 187,000 shares. Proof that over the last year, Iger unloaded nearly 82% of his shares, reducing his take to just over 19 million. And such a drastic dumping begs a question. First, does Bob Iger know something the rest of us doesn't about Disney's future? Does part of that future include an early departure on his part? Fingers crossed. When Iger took up reins at Disney again, November 22, his contract was set to expire. It was 2024, not 23. Oh, okay. But then they announced an extension to 2026. Why? You did it in 2023? In July 2023, you already had misses in the freaking movies. The theme park attendance was down. Why would anybody extend his contract?
I can explain that, actually, at least to some degree. It's the same sort of logic of when the establishment media crapped all over Trump. Their party line was, we have to put the adults back in the room for normalcy's sake, to reestablish normalcy. I think there's a similar thing going on with Iger, where it's like, okay, the ship is sinking, so let's do what we can to reestablish normalcy. And this is the guy who gave us the 10 years of, you know, Disney Marvel and Disney everything and Disney Star Wars and so on. So clearly he is essentially the Biden, the let's reestablish normalcy and put the adults back in charge of the Disney organization.
Yeah, well, I got to tell you, he was the one that started doing stuff like nickel and diming the guests, where if you went before, you'd be like, oh, the fireworks are starting. Let's go get our best seats over here in the area that everybody wants. There would, you would watch as the time for the fireworks came closer, certain places fill up early. Like an hour before, you'll see people by Italy, or they'll be in the lower deck by England, or the bridge that goes from England to France. And then all of a sudden, or for the fireworks in Magic Kingdom, over by a restaurant that's always been closed, whose name is escaping me, there were tables he could sit at. It was nice. So Bob Iger thought, aha, they like that. So if you want that premier seating,
so we'll gouge them.
Yeah, you'll have to pay for this cupcake dessert party. And they started finding ways of charging everybody for everything. Including, of course, let's take away free Fast Pass and go to Genie Plus.
Jurassic Park lawyer again.
Yep. Which, by the way, and so just to announce that part is a little bit over. Let's see. Here you go, kids. Rumors suggest a Disney Genie tier system is coming.
So literally, we'll have a coupon day.
Yes.
Boink.
Okay, so Genie Plus is it boasts a service that will allow Walt Disney World Park guests more time enjoying the magic. No, it doesn't. But exactly how much are Disney fans willing to pay up for the service? Rumors are swirling that predicting more money will come out of park guests' pockets soon with a tiered Genie system. Okay, guys, I went to Disney with my nieces. July, in the middle of the freaking summer, we rode 9 attractions, which is actually pretty damn good for a day, because it will take you out throughout the entire day. We started at about noon, maybe around 1-ish, because we got in the park, and then first we had lunch. We got out into the park about, I'd say, 1 o'clock, and from 1 until closing, we did 9 attractions. And not once did we buy a Genie Plus. Stop buying that freaking ripoff. So it says, long gone are the days of the pre-COVID free Fast Pass system, which allowed guests to skip the nearby the standby line for attractions at a select arrival time within the 4 Walt Disney World, blah, 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 blah. Okay. I like the fact that they list all 4 of them, just in case you didn't know it, because they need it's like your teacher gave you 1,000-word minimum. The current
Plus, we have to show for the park, because otherwise they'll revoke our journalistic privileges.
Yeah, that's true. The current feature is known as Genie Plus, and no, it's not free, like Fast Pass Plus was. Instead, guests will pay anywhere from $15 to $35 a person. Ripoff. The service, by the way, it's a ripoff at Universal too. The service lets you use the Lightning Lane entrance at selected Disney park attractions. Guests can expect to enter 2 to 3 attractions or experiences per day using Lightning Lane. That it's a different service. Like if you go to Universal, you buy their Fast Pass or their it's Express Pass, it's called. all day long for that. I think they charge $50, sometimes $100. It's a ridiculous. But you get to go on every ride as many times as you want. So that card is worth something. Here, you buy per ride. Genie service is not to be confused. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the individual Lightning Lane attractions, which are selected rides, not including with Genie Plus. To skip the line, those you have to pay a la carte. And I heard one guy paid like $50 for his and his girlfriend to ride Tron. It's a 90-second ride.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
I remember when we went, I got to go in the fast pass line automatically because disability.
Yeah.
So would that still be a thing now, or do you think they would price gouge us for that?
I think they would give you a card or something that you wouldn't exactly wait, or you wouldn't go in line. But say you go there at 1 and their line is 30 minutes, you return at 1:30.
Yeah. Okay, that makes some kind of sense. I'm just thinking, because literally every theme park I've ever gone to has had that, which is one of the perks of being disabled.
Universal, on the other hand, saw how people were renting wheelchairs to get through the lines, so they made all of their lines wheelchair accessible. So they cut.
Yeah. So in other words, this is why we can't have nice things, and now I have to wait in every line, just like everybody else.
So it goes on to say, we have heard from guests that they would like ways to plan with Disney Plus Genie. How about cut it out altogether and individual Lightning Lanes before the day of their park visit? And we want you to know we are working on it. Yay. Our goal is to give you the opportunity to spend less time planning in the park and more time enjoying your visit with family and friends. While we are not yet able to share specific details, okay, so here's the Genie tier system. Not only are we seeing ticket prices increase and free water park admission. Oh, by the way, yeah, they're doing that now. If you stay with us, here we go. Disney announced that Genie Plus bookings will be supported in advance of your stay at some point. The assumption seems to be you will get like 2 to 3 advanced slots, maybe some of the other timing benefits if you stay on site, based on how cheap Genie is. And I like the fact that they put quotations marks, sometimes cheaper than an adult beverage, and how insanely priced Universal's equivalent is. I think they will introduce a new tier system that's maybe 2 times the cost of that same day booking, if not more. So yeah, once again, the Express Pass is very expensive at Universal. I say don't, but that's just me. Like I said, I went, we were able to do everything. It's a ridiculous thing. And they're just gouging guests left and right. And here's another thing. There have been video after video after video, and it shows this insanely long line for Genie Plus. And because they post these 45, 50-minute waits. And I think part of the thing is like, I never bought Genie Plus. All the wait times were posted at 45 or 50 minutes. And I discovered that we were really only waiting 20 minutes, maybe 30 tops on a July day. And I think it's because they post these long ass waits. So you would buy Genie Plus, which keeps people out of the standby.
Who are you going to believe, our list or your lying eyes?
Your lying eyes, yeah. So all the standby lines were shorter because people were too afraid to get in them to wait what was posted 50 minutes. I think I waited an hour once or it was 40 minutes for Jungle Cruise, and that was the longest line of the day. It was ridiculous.
The only thing I remember us ever having to wait in was the stuff that had an interesting line queue, fortunately enough.
Yeah.
Like, I remember having to wait a little while to get into Haunted Mansion, but Haunted Mansion has one of the best line queues, so I didn't care.
Yeah. Are you ready for some political correctness?
Oh, sure. Goody.
I was just going to post it. It's interesting this stuff's coming out about Iger stock sales now, because I'm looking at a website to try and look at various forms and stuff that got posted. And so this 186,000 number that's getting tossed around, unless there's some new filing that this doesn't have, that was back at the end of 2022.
Okay. So we may be looking at old stories.
Yeah. So, I mean, like at one point, yeah, like in and it's all over the place. I would need somebody who's much more knowledgeable about stocks and reading some of these reports too.
I saw one
decipher this stuff.
I saw one news site title their article, he sneakily sold 82%. And that may be what's going on. He sold this a couple of years ago, and the public is finally gaining knowledge.
Yeah, they do that stuff all the time. Keep it hush-hush for now. We'll release the information when nobody is paying attention, and then hopefully the story will blow over.
Yeah. But, I mean, I would say at this point, it looks like he's probably, well, again, there's the whole thing is like, you know, there's option awards, so how much he's actually holding right now is probably somewhere still in the neighborhood of around 200,000. But he's got, I know I can see one thing here where at the end of 2023, he got an option award, which basically gives him the right to purchase somewhere around 300,000 shares over the next 10 years. If he so chooses, he can exercise that anytime in the next 10 years to purchase whatever those shares are at that, I think at the price that it was at the option award. That's how that works. But in terms of like direct shares that he owns right now, I think it's around, see if this kind of tells me anything here. I would say probably he's probably around 200,000. So I would say that he had a lot of stock. He sold it off somewhere around, actually it looks like probably around the end of or middle of 2021 is the last sale transaction that's reported. And then it kind of gets murky. I'll say it's some of this stuff's really hard to read and try and figure out. If you're not knowledgeable about, which I'm not, so I'm just not quite sure necessarily what I'm looking at. I mean, there should be something out there in terms of who the highest individual shareholders are as of such and such a date. But I mean, I think a lot of it also too is like, options that he has if he wants to purchase stock. So,
well, the other question is, who did he sell them to? Is the other question. Is he selling off to Peltz and Musk to hasten the coming of the savior Elon, or what?
I mean, well, I can't say. I mean, normally you're just selling to the market, but at this high level, I mean, I don't know. Let me see here. Just looking at the last sale form that was posted.
Or did he sell them to the the opposition of Musk and Peltz so that they can't as easily have control?
Let's see. It just says disposed of. Amount of securities owned following the transactions. Nature of that. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't say who sold. I mean, there could be something where you could, specifically say, I'm selling to so and so. But I mean, more often than not, you're just selling them on the market. But yeah, I mean, we'll see what happens. I mean, we've got the interesting period here coming up. I think it's either sometime in March or April is the annual meeting, and that's when the proxy war here will come to a head.
Isn't that also when the Gina Carano lawsuit is going to come to the fore as well?
Oh no, I would say that's months and months away. There might be some motion stuff or an initial court appearance, but I mean that's going to be a suit that's going to take quite a while.
Fun time.
I was going to say, because if they could time it correctly to coincide with one of those meetings, that would be an absolute PR nightmare for Disney and a massive win for Team Peltz and Musk.
Yeah. Well, You know, it is funny though. I will say that I like to call them or they are commonly referred to as the pixie dusters. Basically, the people that defend Disney to the death and think Disney does no wrong, and that Bob Iger's great and all the DEI stuff is
because
fantastic.
they're snorting pixie dust. Yeah.
They have been very quiet since Disney got blown out of federal court on all of their, First Amendment claims that they had over Reedy Creek. Now, I know Disney has talked about it. I'm assuming they will be appealing to the Court of Appeals. And I think that's is it the 10th? No, I don't say it's the 7th Circuit. Whatever the federal court district is right now in Florida. But I mean, right now, the only lawsuit regarding, former Reedy Creek is the state claims in state court that the now Improvement District, I'm blanking on what the new name is, has filed against Disney and the former officers of Reedy Creek. And it's going to be interesting to see what happens there. I mean, if you really want to follow that, there's a great YouTube channel, Legal Mindset, has done excellent work in that. And so far he's been 100% right on it, because he used to do he used to work on special tax districts in Florida. So if you're going to watch a channel with somebody who has actual knowledge of what was going on with Reedy Creek and things like that, it's absolutely the channel to watch. Great stuff. So, I mean, Disney by no means is out of the woods on anything yet. And Iger, you talk about, Iger being smart or brilliant. Meaning, one other thing is he is a great talker. He knows how to spin his way around, troublesome issues. And he, spins the BS to the media as well as anybody. And, that's why they've been able to, obfuscate and hide a lot of the issues. But, certainly one of the interesting things that came out this past week is that the head of Disney Studios basically got fired.
Yeah, I saw that.
He's staying on in a producer capacity for, I forget which film it is, but you read between the lines, he got fired.
Yeah.
So there's at least finally a recognition that, we've been blowing billions of dollars here and getting nothing in return. And I would have to say that's at least somewhat of a reaction to, some of the things that Nelson Peltz has said and uncovered, to try and hopefully convince shareholders to support his side to get board seats on the Disney board.
Well, I mean, that's the big double-edged sword of being able to spin doctor like that. You get so good at spinning the bullshit that you forget what's bullshit and what isn't. And then once you do that, you get in a bubble, and then the bubble pops, and whoops, now you have to pay the actual consequences.
Yeah. But again, if you notice too, if you go back through kind of the annual report, you see the things that Iger talked about. Again, it was acquisitions and partnerships, everything, the whole deal, getting together with the Fortnite guys, for Disney content. I mean, that's just another partnership, slash not an acquisition in that case, but again, it's not really creating new.
It's an expansion of the IP well that Disney can draw
it's just
from.
leveraging existing IP for it. There's just all kinds of things like that.
I wonder if no one ever had the conversation with him. It's not good enough to have the IP. You actually have to do something with it that is worthy of the IP.
Well,
lest you piss everyone off.
Well, I mean, with that, again, I mean, one of the big complaints from the, entertainment critics right now is what Disney hasn't done with 20th Century Fox. They have not really leveraged anything from that acquisition. I mean, it was a gigantic money suck. And outside of, getting a few bucks off of the Avatar piece, they have done nothing to leverage.
It's like they spent what was it, like $14 billion? It was like they spent $14 billion on the X-Men and the Fantastic Four.
Yeah, just for those two, and maybe Avatar, considering they already had the deal with Pandora and that in the parks.
Yeah. Whereas, I mean, to me, if I were in charge of that, again, you go back, you look at the success that Disney had under Eisner in creating Touchstone Pictures, Buena Vista, Pictures, pairing with Miramax, all of that. You could do the same thing and shove all of that over to the Fox side. You can keep Disney Studios as the wholesome family side. You can have your Disney animation side that includes Pixar. You keep all the things that are Disney adjacent in Disney, and then let Fox do the rest. You can have the dramatic stuff that doesn't fit in any of those categories go over to
the edgy boy Fox nonsense.
And they haven't done any of that. They've done literally nothing with the Fox catalog,
except X-Men, Fantastic Four, and Avatar.
And they still haven't done anything with it. They've just announced, hey, we're the announcement thrilled nobody.
It's just like with the streaming thing. I can't for the life of me figure out why they don't just either do something with Hulu or combine Hulu and Disney Plus so that it's one service.
Actually, you can access Hulu through Disney Plus now.
But they still, again, that kind of content split would make the most sense. Like if you put all the Fox stuff on Hulu and kept all the Disney stuff on Disney, or the Disney adjacent stuff with like Marvel.
Oh,
and
I agree.
But they don't.
No,
I don't get it.
They will not. Hulu should become adult Disney. I'm sure people would think, what, Disney's making porn because people can be really stupid, but Hulu should become adult Disney, where they do have all
the Adult Swim to Disney's Cartoon Network.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah,
where they're showing all the Miramax and all, like LK said, this 20th Century Fox and so forth and so on. That's just the way they should do it. But hey, they ain't listening to us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
No, because if they were listening to us, things would actually be working. Not to toot our own horns here.
Yeah. Well, and one other thing too, getting back to the park side, I know a lot of people, went, gaga over, Iger announcing, I think they were gonna, quote unquote, they're gonna invest like $6.5 billion into the parks or whatever.
Yeah, they do that a lot.
They've made those statements before, and so far nothing of fruition, nothing has come about.
It's not about the money you spend, it's where the money goes. And I say the same thing about movie budgets. The budgets would be fine if they actually put the effort in to make them quality.
Well, it's not even that. I highly doubt they will even be spending that $6.5 billion.
Oh no, they won't.
Well, I mean, there's that too, but as always, the thing that no one pays attention to is not how much money you're spending, it's what you're doing with it, where the money is going.
Did you see the concept art for the Moana thing that opened last year? It was amazing.
I think so.
It was gorgeous. It was fantastic. I get there and it's put your hand on the water, it'll play music, and it's do this and the water fountain goes up, and I'm like, really? This is it? And did you see that big lagoon? Did you see, what's her name, Ederfie or whatever, the island lady? It's like none of that's here. It seems like it reminds me of Armageddon. There's this line. He says, we're sitting in 200 tons of metal filled with explosive chemicals, all built by the lowest bidder. I know I'm paraphrasing, but that's the line. They get these ideas, or at least this was ideas that were not fermented, were not in the works or whatever. Right. These were, hey, guess what would be a good idea to do, guys? Which it's pie crust promise, as Mary Poppins would say, easily made, easily broken. And that's that entire announcement That's all that was. There's a huge land that's going to be built behind Big Thunder. No, it's not. You just dropped $4 billion on Toy Story Land and Galaxy's Edge in a hotel nobody wanted to go to because you charge too much. You're not going to chase bad money after good. The only reason why I think Tiana is getting built is because there were enough twidiots and enough DEI dumbasses saying you got to, or we won't give you a money loan.
Enough moral grandstanding that they got shamed into it. Yeah, but this is an industry-wide problem I've noticed. It used to be back when I was young that concept art was the basis of the thing, and your goal was to improve on the concept art. Now, the concept art is the most pie in the sky thing, and we go down from the concept art.
Yeah. Okay, what can we do without here? Everything that makes it look good, and they have been making bad decisions in order to, and we've all heard it before, cater to the modern audience. People wanted more places to sit and plug in their phones, so they took out this gorgeous water unit or whatever feature at Epcot, and they put in vagina grass. It was just ridiculous and all over the place. And by the way, look it up. Look it up. It looks like a vagina. But my favorite meme is it's because it's shaped like this. This floral feature is shaped like this. My favorite meme has "It's up here, guys." It was funny as hell. It was a gorgeous water feature they got rid of so they could put flowers up and some seats with phone chargers. It's god awful. In the Moana thing, which was supposed to be like this two-tiered, you could watch the fireworks from the top of it, beautiful thing, into the most simplistic, already paint chipping, broken down crap that they would have built as a side feature in the 1990s.
Which is just sad, because Disney was the king of what he called plussing. Now it's anti-plussing. It's subtracting from the concept art. It used to be the concept art was the basic gist, and we would build on top of it. We would build more on top of it. But well, no, it's
Iger for you. Iger is lean and he is mean, and the Disney employees are mean now. It is ever since that came from COVID.
Yeah,
with the whole masking thing. Put on your mask.
Yeah, well, here I want to share something with you because I don't know if you've talked about this much. The Pixar Palace Hotel. So this is the new hotel that opened up right at the end of 2023, early 2024. This is the new hotel in Disneyland. It replaced, I almost want to say, I think it replaced Paradise Pier, but I'm not totally sure. So as you kind of go through these pictures, here's what I want you to keep in mind. The least expensive hotel room right now here is about $400 a night.
They're Galaxy's edging again.
On average, it's going to probably cost you $500 plus. So I will say this does look a whole lot better than early pictures that Disney put out at like the middle of 2023, because there was a lot of concern about where's the personality of the hotel. But this is from a gentleman that was able to, take a kind of a preview stay. So this is kind of like opening right as you walk in. There's a lot of function here. This is, infamous, Luxo Jr., who was in the very first, Pixar cartoon, the walking lamp.
Yeah.
So this is the front entrance, I think. Let's see. I thought I was going to say here. So the front entrance here, the Pixar Palace Hotel. Here's one of the murals. So this is, themed off of Finding Nemo. So you've got, various kind of themed artwork throughout. Here's more of the lobby.
The lobby and everything always looks better in the rooms.
Yeah. So here's the lobby. So I'm pretty sure these are like the hotel.
The clerk desks and such. Yeah.
So
I like the. I mean, that looks good. That looks nice.
Greeted by the giant Pixar Lexo Junior lamp.
Lexo Junior. Yep.
Yeah. Here's your lobby. This is how it looks at night.
That looks too contemporary to me. I'm not a big fan of that. I like the hotels to look more Disney.
Well, with this, it has a lot of like Peter Max style, which is interesting. So it says here, moving further in the lobby, there's artwork featuring central characters from some of the famous films, encased in illuminated frames that twinkle subtly with background music. So again,
I'm not seeing a lot in the way of immersion. Like, the one good thing you could say about Galaxy's Edge was, if you could afford the King's Ransom to get in, it was at least somewhat immersive. But I'm not seeing a lot of immersion here.
See, well, I think that's it, though. They're not necessarily going for like full-on immersion here, like people walking around like
they should.
Just,
well, yeah, they don't really do that in the hotels so much because the hotels are really, a lot of people just want to get to the parks, and then when they get home from the parks or get back from their hotel, they're tired. I think that that's a miss because like Contemporary used to hold Pirates and Princess parties. By the way, that's where they got the name. Just saying, Pirates and Princesses. The what are they called? The clownfish. They have a site called Pirates and Princesses, but they used to have Pirates and Princess parties in the Contemporary where you would have somebody dressed like a pirate. You might have a Cinderella or something along those lines.
Well, I'm just gonna point out, I think that was their old site, and I think that was the one that got stolen from them, but I can't remember. There was a whole thing a bunch of years ago with that. So here's the standard room. So looks like queen size beds. I would say those are twin size beds. You can see another Lexo here, basic couch. The little kind of Pixar themed pillow there. So there's definitely a lot more Pixar theme or colors or feel certainly in these photos than there was a year ago. So they definitely up that quotient.
I think they should up it again, though. I don't think it's enough.
So it says majority of the hotel's rooms are standard room type, sleeping up to 5 guests in either one king size bed and a queen sleeper, or 2 queen beds and 1 day bed. Theming and decor are largely the same, with variations in wall art and layout. There's also standard with a view of Disneyland Drive or in the parking area, or a preferred view with a view of the resort or Disneyland California Adventure. Guests familiar with Disney's Paradise Pier? Yeah, so it was Paradise Pier that they basically completely gutted from the inside out with this. Let's see if there's anything.
Yeah, that actually looks better than what they did to the Contemporary. They also made Contemporary very much the Incredibles.
Yeah.
And after you're done here, I'll show you the I'll show you the bull crap that that became.
Yeah. So here's the bathroom again, a very modern looking style bathroom. You got the things on the wall. Get a robe there. And of course, if you take
how could they possibly fuck up the Incredibles?
So then there's the club level rooms. So there's going to be, I guess this opens later in 2024, a concierge lounge on the hotel's 2nd floor will open to club level guests. So
that's something they've started doing, is opening up a lot more bars and places where the adult Disney kids can just leave the rooms, kind of sit and enjoy an evening without having to go out to Disney Springs.
Yeah. So this is a picture of what a suite looks like there. That's okay. So then entertainment. So you've got new characters from Inside Out and Soul that I guess will greet you, or in the back area. Yeah. So there's some guy basically playing a piano in the lobby.
See, that's kind of cool.
From Soul.
Mm-hmm.
I'll give props. That is cool, having a piano player, because one of the most famous features at Grand Floridian, they had a classical pianist playing their Big Baby Grand in the middle of the lobby. Of course, he's doing Disney songs, and I think it should be the same way with Soul. You know, Disney songs and maybe Cadillac Records, that kind of stuff. But
Pixar, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Now,
well,
I know this was one area that was criticized a lot earlier, was kind of the pool area.
that looks very generic.
Yeah, that one looks generic. That looks pretty generic.
There is literally one site called the Diz. They were able to go through and they picked a top 10 awesome pools because, like, contemporary, not contemporary, but the Polynesian has this volcano and it's a slide and it looks awesome. And
that's neat.
There was one with a big old clown head that people were debating: is it cool or is it creepy because it's a clown?
It's clown.
You know, it's they have good pool areas that are themed to the hotel. The worst thing I can think of is when they do a hotel and it just looks like a hotel. They used to do these really huge themed kind of things, and now that was what the contemporary was. But now the contemporary looks awesome, and the new Coronado Springs looks like you could get that hotel anywhere. It should be it should always, like, if you go to Animal Kingdom Lodge, which I'm going to go to on Monday with Pixel, or if you go to the Wilderness Lodge, which I'm going to go tomorrow with my cousin, I'll take all the video and I'll show you guys how awesome a hotel should be, because those are the two best in my opinion.
Yeah.
Well, I think this goes back to something I've been saying for a while now, which is Disney don't seem to realize just how much immersion is king anymore.
No, I'm not going to argue with you on any of that, because I've been around Disney my entire freaking life, and it is better when you can kind of get into it, when you kind of lose yourself. That's why I went off on the Star Wars girl when I saw her review the Galaxy's Edge from the outside. I was like, bitch, you're not even in there yet, and you're already complaining. That means you went to complain. You just went. There's a difference between reviewing and going to complain.
You're not actually analyzing anything.
Right.
You're just playing Mad Libs.
Well, I mean, as somebody who went to Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland, I'll say I was completely unimpressed.
Yeah.
But
I mean, you went. Yeah. That's the point there. You went and you gave a proper assessment. She was complaining on the outside. Oh, look at this. Oh, I was like, all right. So you're going in. If you're going in with that attitude, you're not going in to assess.
You're hoping to dislike it.
Yeah, so you're going to find something to bitch about.
The rage.
And when you build up that kind of audience, that when you build up your channel based on aren't you cool because you complain, you will leave places. You will go to places with the idea that you have to continue that audience. You have to find stuff for that audience to enjoy. And the only stuff you've told them that they can enjoy on your channel is you ripping on places.
Whining.
Yeah.
No,
and the Star Wars girl, she did that.
Well, I haven't seen a video. I'm not going to comment on hers. I'll just tell you from my experience, I was thoroughly underwhelmed with Galaxy's Edge. And so there's a fine line with immersion, especially I think in something like the hotel. It's the immersion part. What you want is you want to feel like, you know, you're in a particular area. So if you want to say you feel like that you're in the middle of a Pixar movie, but you don't want to be in the Pixar movie. And that was where I had the real problem with the whole Galaxy Cruise, Star Cruisers, that I never would have gone on it even if it was $100 a day, because I don't want to have to put on a Jedi robe and act out some part during my stay as a Jedi.
But there are people who do. There are people who would. There are people who like the LARPing aspect.
Well,
and
but here's the difference.
That is a very small part, and if you're trying to base a hotel on that, you're going to fail.
Well, here's what you guys are talking about. There is a restaurant, and it's a show, and it's called the Hoop-de-Doo Review. It's a lot of fun. From what I've seen, I have not yet been. But what you can do is you put up a sign or a flag or something, and it says, "Leave me alone." because they go around and they play and they have fun with the guests. If you're there for dinner and you're not a particular
you can opt out.
Outgoing person, yeah, you can opt out where you're just a viewer. And I think that's actually what it says. It might just say, you know,
opt out,
observer, you know, or something like that. My wife wanted me to find that out. She goes, "Are they going to make you do this?" So I looked it up and I found out, yeah, you can opt out of that. If they do something like the Galaxy's Edge again, that would be an option that I would say they have to do. They have to have something where, because you might love Star Wars and want the experience, you want to watch the shows, you want to hear the lady sing in the bar, you want to taste the Ronkar bits, which is a great pork thing, but you know, or no, it's like a hot dog. You might want to do all of that, but you don't want to have to pretend you're on Baku, you know. And I'll tell you, or Batu or whatever it is. And I'll tell you this: I went a couple of times. The first time I went full on that I'm going to throw myself into it, and I had a blast. And then when I went again, it was okay, but I didn't. And the third, I just want to watch. And you know what? I agree wholeheartedly. This is not an area that holds up. You could go in to have fun, but the only way you truly get to enjoy the out of this land is if you're
LARPing,
not LK. Look at LK's face right now. That's his resting face, ladies and gentlemen.
And maybe it is partially a generational thing, but speaking on both my behalf and the behalf of, I think, my generation and the generations beneath me, because so much of our fun in my generation is things like RPGs and D&D and that kind of thing, we not only do we want the immersive experience in the park, but we also would like it in something like a hotel, or, you know, let's say it was a D&D themed park. There would be a D&D tavern, and you would have people playing their D&D characters in that tavern.
What I heard, and this is something that once again, Disney used to not do. They used to, when something was already designed and ready to go, they make the announcement and it's going to be built now. They didn't do that with Galaxy's Edge either. If you would listen to what the plans were, they were going to have, much like at Universal, they have the Hogwarts Express, which takes you from, it takes you from Diagon Alley in Universal over to
freaking brilliant transportation for that.
And it takes you over to Hogsmeade in Islands of Adventure and back and forth. And it is wonderful. You see a film, and you talk about immersion. You're sitting on a train with strangers, but you look out and it's they show you the world of Harry Potter going by, you know, and on one side the other students are going around, so they've got, so you got screens around you and you're getting story all over the place.
Right. So you're in
that was supposed to be
the thing. Yeah.
That was supposed to be your transportation from Galaxy's Edge to Baku or Batu or whatever it's called, which is, you know, Galaxy's Edge to from the hotel to Hollywood Studios.
From the Star Cruiser to.
Yeah, and that was supposed to help out with the immersion, as you put it, where you could go through. So if you wanted to walk through the rest of Hollywood Studios in your robes or whatever, if you wanted to do that, and you don't have to wear Jedi robes when you're at the hotel, by the way, you never did. But point being, though, is you could really throw yourself into it.
You can,
but
if that's what you want.
And then
I think that's one of the reasons why Universal is kicking Disney's ass so much, because they did understand, okay, people are coming here to be in the world that we're putting them in.
But you always have to have the option for the LKs.
Yeah, by all means, have the option.
My wife in this case is an LK.
The train that you explained with Universal Studios, that is exactly kind of the level of immersion. So yeah, you hop in the train like it's Harry Potter. You've got screens, you know, that, you know, show that to you. Yeah, that gets you primed for it. At the same time, I'm not feeling like I've got to go, you know, don a pair of glasses and put a lightning bolt on my forehead and, you know, and don school robes in order to, you know, get the whole experience. You know, it's, you know, case in point, like one of the first things that I pointed out when we went to Galaxy's Edge in Disneyland. So that's my experience is Disneyland. is where it was located. We walked through where the jungle cruise is, Frontierland. And you start walking along a path, and then I started noticing, like, oh, trash cans are a little bit different. Okay, I guess this is Galaxy's Edge. For their so-called immersion, I would have expected some kind of, big sign, big gate, or something like you're crossing an international border,
a portal to another world, basically. Yeah.
And instead it was just kind of like, oh, it's here. And so at the time too, they only had the one ride going.
Which is why Universal is better at
the second ride wasn't ready yet when I went. So it was just Smuggler's Run? Yeah, whichever one.
By the way, if you are not the pilot or the co-pilot, you're not having fun.
Yeah, and I think I wound up being the co-pilot on that. Anyways, so yeah, I mean that ride was good, but I didn't necessarily see a lot of replayability with the ride. But everything else in Galaxy's Edge at that time, and maybe they've made upgrades to it, I don't know, but so much of it was geared towards shopping.
Oh, there was a lot of shops. Yeah,
you were just walking around in this barren place, and the only things of interesting were supposedly these kind of hidden stores within these various things, or going over to this cafe, or trying to get into. They called it Mos Eisley Cantina, which was stupid because you're not on Tatooine, you're on this other stupid planet.
Yeah,
so
they give it a different name in Hollywood Studios.
That was it. And then you would get the occasional, show where on the one side the Imperial shuttle would lower and it would, open up, and there's Darth Vader, with his stormtroopers, and they go, or Kylo Ren, and they go marching around, and that was it. And I was just like, okay, well, whatever, that's fine. I'm going back to Tomorrowland.
Well, first of all, once again, we're in Hollywood Studios, not Magic Kingdom, but they do have a walkthrough, and thankfully they managed all of the eye lines, so you're not in Star Wars, and you can look over here and there's Tower of Terror. You don't do that, which they really, that is something I've noticed. They started not caring about in Magic Kingdom. You gotta care about that. With what you were talking about, and one of the reasons why I had such a great time my first time around, I was really filming and really looking at everything, and I liked going into those shops, and I liked seeing like the Sarlacc, a baby Sarlacc. They had one of those, and it was a audio animatronic and it was,
that's neat,
in an aquarium. I like stuff like that. You look around at the junk shop and you see a busted IG-88. You see all sorts of this. There was a Hammerhead that was running one of the businesses.
Diagon Alley in Universal has a lot of that stuff too.
Yeah, I had a great time looking at all the minutia. I liked having a great time to all the Easter eggs and everything. But the problem with it is once you see it, okay, I mean, I'm more of a Star Trek than a Star Wars, but I love the Star Wars. And this is another problem they had. When I say Star Wars, I'm not talking about Star Wars Saga, because when we were young, LK, I think LK.
There was no subtitle. Yeah.
When we were young, Star Wars meant one movie. That's it. And to people my age, it's Star Wars Empire and Return. There is no Star Wars. What was it called? Force Awakens. Not what's the first one? A New Hope.
A New Hope.
No,
then
there
Empire,
was no New Hope. It was Star Wars.
Star Wars, Return Strikes Back, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi.
And their original plan, by the way, was to have it be Tatooine. And their original plan was to have it be the original characters and so forth. And somebody said
they should have gone ahead with that.
Yeah, and somebody went, no, synergy. Let's promote the sequels, and nobody cares about the sequels.
That nobody likes.
Well, I mean,
that nobody wants to be immersed in the first freaking place because they're terrible.
If you go back and look at the original designs especially I think for Disney World, because obviously they have more land there. There were supposed to be Tatooine, Hoth, Endor. I mean, it was supposed to be multiple planets areas,
similar to the World Showcase, kind of. Yeah.
Yeah. And instead, Kathleen Kennedy got her grubby little paws into it and said, "No, no, no. We want it all focused.
Put the
on
sequel in it. Make it lame.
And make it a world that nobody has ever gone to or heard of before, so everybody can get immersed and role play. Yay!"
Well, you could have gotten immersed and role played just fine on the places people have heard of, you know?
More so because people actually know the movies and the characters. But,
and they want to be there. They want to visit Endor or Hoth or
that is what I was telling you about, how they've started doing these meetings where they talk about what they're going to do before they're done designing anything. So they show you the best of what their plans are. And in the end, what you get is what they can afford or what they decided. It's not like Dalton said, they scale down instead of up when they're designing these things.
I mean, if you want the latest example, take a look at Tiana's Guilt Trip.
Yeah. That's a good way of putting it.
It's a fundamental creative problem just overall, because you'll see this with the movies too, where they'll know what the right thing to do is first, and then they'll workshop it and undo it instead of letting the final draft to be better than the rough draft. They take good ideas in the rough draft phase and they nerf them instead of finalizing them. It's ridiculous.
Oh, I don't know if they know what the right thing is to do.
Well, no, but what I mean, as an example, we'll take WandaVision as an example. The original premise for the end of WandaVision was Strange was going to show up and give Wanda mystical therapy, and help her defeat Agatha. But somebody came along in the workshopping phase in the writer's room and went, "We can't have a white male, white savior, blah." Even though he was a neurosurgeon and a sorcerer, so if anyone knows the ins and outs of mystical, trauma, it would be Doctor Strange, and it would make perfect sense in universe. But no, we can't care about in-universe logic or actual narrative cohesion, because we have to undo narrative cohesion. We have to undo in-universe logic at every frickin' turn.
Yeah. And I would feel more confident about Tiana's, as you say, guilt trip if it was a creative decision. And it wasn't. Like you said, it was a guilt trip. Somebody on Twitter complained, and somebody in higher up was dumb enough to listen to probably a 12-year-old.
Yeah.
At the very least, a college student who is just looking for something to be offended by.
Well, in fairness, the people in middle management themselves are also HR ideologues. So they were probably just looking at that and going, they're absolutely right. We should force social justice into every crack and premise we possibly can. And then
it's pretty
ridiculous.
Pretty ridiculous, sis. Let's play Connect 4. All right. Well, there you go, guys. We've been chatting for an hour and 15 minutes now, and got way off our Bob Iger subject, but that's okay. We always do. I was going to talk about. Actually, no. We usually run an hour and a half. Let's do one more thing, because we're kind of on a social justice warrior kick here. This you remember the whole they made Mary Poppins PG-13 thing?
Yes, I do.
Did you hear about that, LK? We did a video about it the other day.
No,
17th century slang term that hasn't been a slang term
for the longest time now. Mary Poppins has been G-rated, and this is in England mostly here. So they decided that because they used the word Hottentots, they had to make it PG, because in the 17th century, Hottentots was a racial slur.
400 years ago.
400 years before the movie was made.
Yeah. Yeah, Hottentots. Let's bring it back.
I guess. I
350
didn't even know it was a racial
years after
slur
the-
until these overly sensitive college kids decided to complain. So at the end of January, Disney fans bid farewell to the Country Bear Jamboree.
Mhm.
That is a freaking crime to me. It
Oh, yeah.
really is.
Well, I mean, it wasn't going to last with the fact that they got rid of Splash Mountain because
Right.
they were
Well,
basically
Country Bears was there
horses.
first, but they're
Yeah,
talking
but-
about removing Frontierland to put in New Orleans. It's the biggest mistake they could make, short of changing Splash Mountain into Tiana. Anything when you've got
Well, you know
Tom
they don't
Sawyer's
like
Island right
history, especially not the history of
Okay,
rugged
but-
individualism and anarchy. So
It is. They are saying here it was a temporary closure, but they can find solace in the fact that the rest of the gang will be returning in a fresh and reimagined production called Country Bear Musical Jamboree, which I think they're going to focus on Disney music rather than country songs. Okay, I'm actually not mad at that. However, while most characters from the original Country Bear Jamboree are bear band, including Big Al and Teddy Barra, will be making a comeback, one beloved bear will not, because he's got the offensive name of Liver Lips. With his distinct personality and endearing charm, has been retired from the upcoming Country Bear Musical Jamboree. And the new iteration Disney attraction, the Singing Bear, will be remodeled and reintroduced as Romeo McGrowl. I do believe Liver Lips is this guy because he's got big lips blowing into the jug here.
mhm.
Yeah. It represents a more politically correct version of the character whose name has been source of controversy for Disney parks for the past 3 years. It's not been 53. I am 53.
Yeah.
You lying mother. Who's the lying motherfucker on this thing? Who is this? This is posted by Eva. Eva, you are a lying motherfucker. I'm 53 years old. I've been going to Disney 5, 10, 20 freaking, sometimes 50 times a year. Once a week at least. Nobody complained about him. Nobody, you lying whore. Yes, you're a whore because you lied about this. Holy crap. Complaining. Do you know what people complained at Disney 53 years ago, 50 years ago, 51 years ago? It's hot. Put in some shade. That's it. Lying liars and the liars that make the lies. With his reimagining, Disney aims to inject. What the? You don't even say, oh, because of this. Why is Liver Lips bad?
That's the next paragraph. Just roll
Because
down.
slur-
Okay, here we go. The term
Slur.
liver lips is offensive by many academics today. Academics today could kiss my freaking, sniff my anal vapors. There are no academics today because they're always, the only thing they do is look for shit to be offended by. Someone with
Because
unusually
they
red or swollen
unthink.
lips. No kidding. That's not new today, but nobody fucking cared back then. Often do accepts as drinking and alcohol-related condition. The term is considered implied and derogatory. Good Lord in fucking heaven, seriously. This pissed. I didn't think I was going to be pissed off at this. I am pissed off at this bullshit. The word, unfortunately, was typically used as a negative word to describe African-American people. When? Nobody did that. I was there 53 years ago for that. Nobody did. Good Lord.
It was probably, if anything, his name was probably making fun of that trope, if anything. Similar to how Mammy Two Shoes in the Tom and Jerry cartoons was, if anything, making fun of the Mammy trope rather than engaging it.
She's writing Disney shit, and she was born in Oregon. I'm sorry. If you come from anywhere near Portland.
Well, there's your freaking problem. We have a Portlandian in here.
We got it. That's it. That, you know, the freaking Oregon's goddamn state motto should be "Shut the fuck up." No one gave a crap about this bear's name. Stop trying desperately to be offended by something and try manufacturing outrage where it doesn't exist. So true. There are apparently so many people offended by so many things that the whole English language will have to be rewritten. Absolutely continue to go woke just to go broke. And offended. I'm offended by people who are easily offended. Leave your dress at home and put your big person pants on. Go woke, go broke. Nobody's buying in this. Next one in line is Big Al. Why? Because he's fat And you can't say, that's why he's called Big Al. He's this big, fat, freaking, slow talking, blood on the saddle. You're going to get.
Can we nuke Portland? I think the world would be a safer place if we nuked Portland.
This one is saying, I'm going to guess that these people outraged by being offended or likely not African-American or disfigured in any way. So this person's standing up. Gone are the days of making fun of other appearances. Nobody knew it. Nobody knew it. You didn't know it, Lura Jane. You're just one more person that gets freaking easily offended. As a child, I was offended by. No, you weren't. No, you freaking weren't.
The slang was meant to mock the racism, if anything. It was meant to acknowledge that everyone has a stereotypical personality in some way related to their identity. And you know what? Back in the day, people were happy to engage with those stereotypes because they actually were on some level proud of them. I've never known an Irishman who wasn't proud of drinking himself into a stupor. I've never known an Italian from New York who didn't like the fact that people associated him with a mob. I never knew an Asian person who didn't like that he was viewed as a kung fu badass or a human calculator just for being Asian, and so on. People used to be able to be occasionally proud of their stereotypes and even wanted to lean into them because they thought they were cool.
Yeah. Anyway, I got to, maybe I shouldn't have ended on that one, but there you go. I got a little passionate. You guys,
no, it's justified. Fuck this.
Whomever found this and actually watched all 1 hour and 20 minutes of it, thank you very much for reaching here. Don't forget to do all the clicking, liking, sharing, and all that kind of stuff. Try to revive this channel as much as possible. And as always, thank you very, very much for watching, and have a zippity doo dah day.
Yep. Cheers, guys.